Folks, there is some whispering in the palace, Mar-a-Lago. Some snidey people uh, doing things behind the king's back at a time where he needs loyalty, honest loyalty, like he told James Comey, because some things are coming out. Now, let me just say unironically, the Jan 6 hearings in a vacuum, which by which I mean considered outside of the fact that Democrats are being infuriatingly inactive on all fronts of legislating, just allowing Joe Manchin and Cinema to be a reason for not doing anything, including getting routed on Roe versus Wade with apparently nothing but look at the polls. Those elections are looking pretty good. Let's not rock the boat, guys. We can ride this out. What should have been us getting swamped because the Supreme Court is overtly attacking people. um, so that stuff is all infuriating. I understand. I totally understand why folks are saying, this stuff is not interested. I would personally hesitate to just echo the GOP's talking points on the matter myself. Um, but that was, and now I definitely would. I mean, I'm doing the opposite. I think it's very intriguing. I mean, we know that. I mean, the overall contours of this aren't surprising to somebody who like me who was, thought Trump wanted a coup, but overall the power structure were like, you just gave us the Supreme Court and the rest of the judiciary and some tax cuts. Like, bro, we don't really need you anymore. And Trump's like, well, we do coups, 2000 guys, do 2000 for me. And like, no. But what's interesting is to know how, who was taking a close look at, should we do this? Because the thing about like Alex Perrine has this concept, like the insane people who were just sort of being used by the old Republican Party have taken it over now. And so like Pence, like how he's taking a, he's like walking back and forth like, and for some reason he's credited with like standing up for it, but he was taking a good gander, and his aides are like, come on, Mike, we're not gonna do the coup here. Um and Trump got really pissed. And the more interesting details of Jan 6, I mean, probably the most important stuff is going to be all the different like uh when could have action been taken that wasn't taken, who had connections to the Proud Boys or Oath Keepers, what was Giuliani doing, for instance. That stuff's all probably the most important stuff. Trump as a character has been the has been the funniest and the reason to come. And I'm not, there's like, I feel like it's uncool, but I'm not afraid to say it's, I'm enjoying this. And I feel like in any era I would enjoy this. This is like if Richard Nixon threw Burger out of the wall. Well, let's play this thing. You got my level here with this stuff. So here is a clip from Hutchinson, uh, Meadows' chief of staff. Meadows' chief of staff, sort of. And here she is, like just going into. If you haven't seen this, this is funny stuff, and it's horror, and it's funny in the sense of like. Well, let me define funny before I go into that, because like I I don't want to like be too frivolous about this, but like before Trump won in 2016, when I would read stuff about like how insane Nixon was, or like crazy shit about Kennedy administration, maybe even assassination, that sort of stuff. Like it's wild, and it was like stuff that I got animated uh, with my friends at bars. Like it's the reason you read thick ass books written by like Robert Caro and stuff. There's those funny details where LBJ's, you know, forcing aides to take notes while he's on the crapper and as to like signal dominance, right? Like this stuff, I actually really like this stuff, especially when it adds color to what I think are important moments in this country's history, which I think January 6th was. And I agree with folks who poo-poo that it would have happened, but I do think like seeing how close certain members. I mean, we know that there's like Rudy Giuliani, like that guy. Of course, he wanted a coup. Like if it was up to him, we would have. Trump would have like, you know. Anyway, I'm gonna play this clip. Here's the ketchup dripping down the wall clip.
The physical altercation that Ms. Hutchinson described in the presidential vehicle was not the first time that the president.
And I'll just say, like, there's going to be some Secret Service guy saying, like, we'll testify in court under oath that that never happened. Now, I'm not saying Hutchinson couldn't be lying, but the Secret Service, okay. They sober up.
Had become very angry about issues relating to the election. On December 1, 2020, Attorney General Barr said in an interview that the Department of Justice had not found evidence of widespread election fraud sufficient to change the outcome of the election. Ms. Hutchinson, how did the president react to hearing that news?
Around the time that I understand the AP article went live, I remember hearing noise coming from down the hallway, so I poked my head out of the office, and I saw the valet walking towards our office. He had said, "Get the chief down to the dining room, the president wants him." So Mark went down to the dining room and came back to the office a few minutes later. After Mark had returned, I left the office and went down to the dining room, and I noticed that the door was propped open and the valet was inside the dining room changing the tablecloth off of the dining room table. He motioned for me to come in and then pointed towards the front of the room near the fireplace mantle and the TV, where I first noticed there was ketchup dripping down the wall and there's a shattered porcelain plate on the floor. The valet had articulated that the president was extremely angry.
I'm sorry, I just got to dwell on that. Ketchup dripping down the wall and a shattered porcelain plate. Like this is poetry. This should be taught in poetry class. It's beautiful.
And I noticed that the door was propped open and the valet was inside the dining room changing the tablecloth off of the dining room table. He motioned for me to come in and then pointed towards the front of the room near the fireplace mantle and the TV, where I first noticed there was ketchup dripping down the wall and there's a shattered porcelain plate on the floor.
And she comes in mid-drip. Like, that is cinematic. You can see why the Republicans are tempted to say this is all made up. Because that is, I mean, you come in and it's still just, you can feel the energy of a huffy Trump.
There's ketchup dripping down the wall and there's a shattered porcelain.
That's a sound drop. So I'm just going to play this. I'm going to mute myself so I can get this clean for later. This is just me being a producer, not a host. But look, I'm going to do different multitask sometimes, but I need to get this clean.
Near the fireplace mantle and the TV, where I first noticed there was ketchup dripping down the wall and there's a shattered porcelain plate on the floor. The valet had articulated that the president...
DJ Danarchy. Can somebody get DJ Danarchy on that? That needs to be a sample. I want like a Jamie XX style ketchup dripping down the wall, shattered porcelain plate.
Was extremely angry at the Attorney General's AP interview and had thrown his lunch against the wall, which was caused...
It must have been a burger. Like it has to be, right? I know that's not, and I keep running with that because even though it's not reported anywhere what the lunch was, but I want it to be a burger. And I think we just need to all speak into existence that it was a burger. What else would be funny? What would be as funny? I mean, steak. Steak is funny just because eating ketchup with steak. I get that. Yeah, a quarter pounder. It'd be funny if it was just like a regular McDonald's hamburger though, like the small ones. He just like, give me four of those. It's like, can we? Sure, we can just get you two quarter pounders. Like, no, I like the little ones. Those are extra, not poisoned. For those who don't know, he likes fast food because that's the last place somebody who wanted him to get poisoned, wanted to poison him, would think to poison him. Which is like not something you say to the press if it's true. I think it might have came out in like divorce proceedings or something.
Causing them to have to clean up, so I grabbed a towel and started wiping the ketchup off of the wall to help the valet out.
Speaks a lot to your character, Cassie, that you helped the valet out. That just imagine the atmosphere in there.
Causing them to have to clean up, so I grabbed a towel and started wiping the ketchup off of the wall to help the valet out. And he said something to the effect of, he's really ticked off about this. I would stay clear of him for right now. He's really, really ticked off about this right now.
Yeah, so there's other testimony where she's like, we're sitting with Mark Meadows. I forgot his first name. I wanted to call him Tim. Mark Meadows, chief of staff of Trump. When the January 6th is going on, he's just sitting in his office on the couch, like scrolling his phone, like, passive. A complete like a portrait in cowardice. It's like that like the way Mark Meadows behaves, and maybe I should find that. Um, uh, I don't know. Maybe that will take me. Maybe I'll do that in the post game. I'll do that in the post game. The way she describes Meadows sitting on his couch is a profile in behavior that's all. That's all. That's like the real legwork of coups. I think is just to not do shit and let it get kicked up the can until like 2000. The Supreme Court helps you out. So yeah, ketchup against the wall, ketchup dripping down the wall, shattered porcelain plate. Folks, I'm going to do it publicly. We'll just do it publicly and we'll do another public one. Feeling gregarious tonight. So I'll be back in about 10-15 minutes. And I'll talk about that Mark Meadows description of Mark Meadows' actions on January 6th. I find it fascinating. I'm sorry. I wish that we had parties that gave a shit about the people. Be nice. It'd be nice. It's not the world we live in. It's not the world that we were thrown into. One final note, though, I do think like there's a lot of talk of controlled opposition. I think that's true enough of the Democratic Party. Depending on how, and I think like I'm reading C. Wright Mills' Power Elite now, which is I think measured about that and how to, accept terms in a statement like that without being a conspiratorial, deterministic whack job. But the thing about that is like that only becomes clearer and clearer when they have majorities, which just sucks. And it's like if they didn't win Georgia, then this would be a lot less clear to people. They'd be able to do what they always do and be like, do what they're doing now, just with more plausible deniability. And so that's the weird thing about Democrats now.